Here to put a bow on the spring sports championship season throughout Tulsa, the metro, and really the state. Barry Lewis, he's going to do most of the talking since he knows exactly what he's talking about. I'm Garen Emig. I'm sort of moderating the guide to the video here, but Barry's joining us to give us some perspective on the 2021 Spring Sports Championships wind down. And I guess that means, Barry, it's almost time to put a bow on the 2021 season, the year in athletics with regard to high schools. But specific to spring, you and your cohort, Mike Brown, chased a lot of baseball championships over the last week. Give you a chance to tell me what you guys saw and if you had any snapshots that are going to stay with you.
Well, I wasn't at the 6A state tournament, but just reading Mike Brown's great story in Sunday's paper, it felt like I was there. Jenks, what an incredible return to glory in 6A baseball, winning its first state title in 19 years and doing it in such dramatic fashion. And what a championship it was for Jenks, because they win a big-time pitchers duel with Owasso, who was usually a perennial favorite.
Yeah.
3-1 in the semifinals. They held on because Owasso tried to rally in the last inning. So Jenks overcomes Owasso, and then they rally in the last inning and then eventually win in extra innings the next day to win the championship. So what a title for the Trojans. And then in the state championships that I covered, the 4A and 3A, Holland Hall, what an incredible athletic year it was for Holland Hall as they won state base, its first state OSSA state baseball title. What an incredible senior class that Holland Hall Athletics has, because a lot of the same people who led them to a state football title were doing it in baseball, namely Wallace Clark and Mark Gouldsby. They'll go down along with Owen Ostrowski, who had quite an athletic year himself in football and in with track and field success. Those are just such incredible athletes. They'll go down among the all-time greats in Holland Hall's rich athletic history.
Yeah.
But it's really impressive to see when an athlete who is really talented, but when the spotlight is on in the biggest situations, that they perform so well. Because a lot of times you see, no matter what level it is, pro, college, high schools, some super skilled athletes who, when it comes to crunch time, they don't perform as well. They underachieve. But Wallace Clark, Mark Gouldsby, Owen Ostrowski, I mean, when the spotlight was the brightest, they were just superb. And they weren't the only ones for Holland Hall. They're just maybe the highest profile, but they were incredible. So that's what I'll remember when I look back about this athletic year. Holland Hall will be a big part of that. And so saw a great 4A game, a really interesting 4A game, which turned out to be the last athletic event of the OSSA school year. And Verdigris loses to Heritage Hall 12-10. Verdigris had the bases loaded in the last inning, had a chance to pull off a big rally, bases loaded and one out, but two pop-ups just couldn't quite pull it off. So it was quite the ending to the OSSA athletic year.
Yeah, pulling hard for Verdigris to yank that out. That's sort of an athletic machine they're up against. Anytime you face Heritage Hall, any sport, you're sort of dealing with years of tradition and history, and they are to be commended over there, certainly for their annual excellence. But always good to see the an East Side, even a metro area school sneak in or squeeze in and try to challenge a program of that stature. They almost did it, huh? They almost got it done.
Almost did. At Verdigris, they did win a state title on Saturday in soccer. So girls soccer, and it was a really great season for Tulsa area soccer as far as winning state titles. So many talented players, and it was just the spring sports championships overall. It was really a good spring for Tulsa area teams. You know, you have in soccer, Bishop Kelly wins a pair of gold medals, so with state championships. And then, of course, you had Fort Gibson win a state title. And then you had Broken Arrow boys.
Yep.
So, I mean, it was quite an eventful state championship for the soccer teams in the area, and just overall for area teams. And you had some interesting moments at the state golf tournament that was or wasn't. Why don't you tell everyone about that?
Yeah. I had everyone chips in this time of year and tries to get to it, so that we can try to cover as many championships as possible. My assignment was 6A boy. I shouldn't say that. My privilege was 6A boys golf out at Forest Ridge, and that was the event that the rain got in the way of. They'd played about a third of round 3, the decisive round, after they got all 36 holes in on the first day of competition. It took about a 2.5 hour weather break when the storms blew through, and then the course was just too waterlogged to continue. And so the coaches decided to call the event, canceling anything that had been done that day on the course. And that meant that Edmond North won a team championship, something they typically do. It was nice to see Ben Stoller of Owasso win the individual medalist honor for the Rams, a guy who keyed their team title, interrupting Edmond North's reign the last time they'd had a golf championship, 2019, pre-pandemic. And now he was able to add to his team championship with an individual prize. Had a chance to talk to Ben after rushing out to the course in time to catch him before everyone went home. Talked to him about his commitment to Kansas State, his hopes of helping sort of build the program there. You don't think of Kansas State golf, right? When you think of college golf, that's usually OSU comes to mind, especially regionally, then perhaps Oklahoma. But his parents are K-Staters, so he perhaps inside track for the coach there to work on the family and appeal to tradition and the bleeding of purple in the Stoller household. And so it's glad to talk to Ben. I'm super cool that he won the individual championship for the Rams. And you're right, Barry. Everyone seemed to get a little bit of a taste of the action. Spring sports affords kids that opportunity because you have so many sports, so many opportunities. And you mentioned soccer. I was even glad to see a TPS school, Edison, get into the finals when where Kelly defeated them. Bishop Kelly's such a strong team, took care of them in the championship, but it was still nice to see the Eagles represent in the I think it was a 5A final.
Yes, and talking about the rain, we were really blessed that was really the only problem that we had during the 2 week with the weather during the 2 weeks of spring sports championships, because so many years the weather, which can be so unpredictable in the spring here in Oklahoma, plays havoc with the schedules. But everything except for that 6A tournament, because 5A just a few miles away got played that day.
I saw that.
We were really blessed that everything got for a lot of reasons that everything got completed on time. I mean, there was no really problem with COVID as far as the postseason this spring. Be thankful for that. And so it was really an amazing athletic year. Want to mention in tennis, it was also, don't want to forget tennis.
Right.
It was an amazing year for area teams as Cassia Hall won a pair of titles, team titles. And then you had Jenks, Bishop Kelly, Holland Hall, all winning championships. So it was a remarkable spring for Tulsa area teams. And a lot of the private schools enjoyed success. And I think one thing that we might be on the lookout for, of course, there's always some discontent among the public schools at this time every year or after any team championships are decided when a private school wins. But private schools have enjoyed a lot of success. And so you'll probably hear another movement from public school people to that all the private schools should be exiled into their own classification, which isn't really doable. And if that were really to happen, it would take away from the quality of the OSSA championships. I mean, so I hope that doesn't happen, but that's something that to be on the lookout for, because again, every time that a private school wins, you hear people being unhappy that a private school won.
Yeah.
Instead of just trying to focus on their own programs, and just, as one of my favorite coaches, Ron Lancaster, used to say, don't complain, just get better. So that'll be something to look to, that to see if anything comes about, if there's any movement in the OSSA, amongst schools in the OSSA, to bring that up for discussion.
Okay. And I assume that with regard to just competition, might be able to go into a little bit of a period of rest or hibernation. And you brought up, before we started the video, Barry, you brought up the fact that there's spring football.
Yes.
So the clock continues to tick, I guess. That's what you're saying.
It's really amazing, because you wrap up, I mean, this happens every year, the way the calendar falls. You wrap up the one school athletic year, at least on the field, on a Saturday, the second or third Saturday of May. This year it was the third Saturday of May. And then, like, you have the Sunday off, and then the next Monday, for the larger schools, it's the first day of padded spring practice. That period of time that you can start. In fact, in just a couple hours, I'll be heading off to my first spring football practice of the season. So you just roll from one to another. And of course, we talk about putting a bow on this, on the 2020-2021 athletic year. We really don't put a bow on it till we have the All-World Awards.
That's right.
So we got to get all the All-World Awards, all the All-World teams, and finally picked out leading up to the All-World Awards on June 29th. And at that point, we will put a bow on the athletic year while looking ahead to the next year.
Yeah, we'll take about you'll take about 48 hours probably of rest, and then start putting your programs to watch for next football and fall sports season. So, all right. So that gives us something to talk about over the next few weeks. You mentioned the public versus private ongoing debate, we'll call it. There will, I'm sure, be other administrative tasks at the OSSAA and organizations around Tulsa take up that we'll cover. So plenty more to talk about. Barry, if you're game, I am. We'll meet back here and do that between now and next fall when we start 2021-22. How about that?
Sounds good.
All right. Keep reading Barry's work, Mike Brown's work, and our work in the meantime in your Tulsa World and at tulsaworld.com. Thanks for tuning in, folks.